Setiap hari, Tarik berulang-alik ke tempat kerja dengan kereta api. Tapi, sejak 7 Julai tahun 2005, dia merasakan gerak-gerinya sering menjadi perhatian.
So I personally have had, people walk past and flicking their cigarettes at me, obviously out of malicious intent. Other people have, spat on me. When I get on the train and I sit down next to someone, they make their face, they stand up and they walk away.
3 tragedi yang menghantui warga Britain. Kesemuanya dikaitkan dengan masyarakat Islam. 22 Mei tahun 2013, seorang askar kulit putih dibunuh oleh sekumpulan pemuda kulit hitam yang beragama Islam. Sejak itu, prasangka negatif terhadap masyarakat Islam semakin bertambah buruk.
But seeing that the attitude of the non-Muslims has got more bitter.
You wanted to talk about Islam?
No, I didn't. You wanted to talk about Islam. I wanted to talk about your belief.
And the extreme side of that is starting to take shape in the form of some groups like EDL.
The issue of Islamisation is pure and simple, a story told to incite people to feel fear against Muslims.
That people are enemies with regards to what they are ignorant of.
Apakah punca sebenar kebencian terhadap masyarakat Islam? Ataupun mungkin kesilapan masyarakat Islam itu sendiri?
Islam is a wonderful thing. The Muslims are not quite so wonderful.
I mean, on my personal side, somebody starts saying anything about Prophet ﷺ, I'll smack him. Am I a terrorist? No.
You cannot blame some civilian shopping somewhere for the actions of a politician in some other part of the world. This is against the principle of Quranic justice.
Kami menjejak kehidupan masyarakat Islam Britain untuk menyelami realiti sebenar, Islamophobia. Gereja Besar Southwark di tebing selatan Sungai Thames ini berusia lebih 170 tahun. Megah berdiri sebagai lambang agama Kristian yang menjadi agama turun-temurun di Britain. Bishop Michael Idgrave adalah ketua gereja bersejarah ini dan bertanggungjawab atas ehwal agama penganut Kristian di selatan London. Tetapi, sejak bulan Mei tahun 2013, beliau terpaksa berusaha gigih mengeratkan hubungan antara masyarakat Islam dan Kristian, terutama di Bandar Woolwich. Woolwich ialah sebuah bandar kecil di tenggara London. Sebahagian besar penduduknya yang berkulit hitam adalah orang Islam.
Well, Woolwich is a very diverse community with a long-standing Muslim community and strong Christian communities and also people of other faiths. And there's been a long history of friendship and of partnership of people working together in Woolwich.
Pada 22 Mei tahun 2013, Britain digemparkan dengan tragedi yang mencemar imej Islam. Seorang askar kulit putih beragama Kristian dibunuh kejam oleh 2 orang lelaki kulit hitam beragama Islam.
because of the graphicness of the act, and media was so instant that everything was caught as it was happening, and it did have a massive effect within our community. You know, it was on the news, it was on the media, and it really raised tensions within the community.
Michael Ipgriff baru setahun dilantik sebagai Bishop Woolwich dan Southwark ketika peristiwa berdarah itu berlaku.
And whatever slogans the young men who were filmed in that incident, whatever slogans they were using, it was a murder and cannot be justified in terms of religion. And in some parts of England, indeed in some parts of London, there was a noted rise in anti-Muslim Islamophobic incidents. What is very interesting is that did not happen in Woolwich. I think what that terrible incident displayed was that there is a strong history and a strong reality of friendship between Muslims, Christians and others in Woolwich and in that part of London.
So I personally have had, you know, people walk past and flicking their cigarettes at me, obviously out of malicious intent. Other people have, you know, spat on me. When I get on the train and I sit down next to someone, they make their face, they stand up and they walk away. So there's these types of things. I mean, you know, London, it's a bit sad because London is actually one of the most multicultural cities in the world. But, you know, we're scared for our friends, we're scared for our family. And it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you're living, what the social standard is, that shouldn't be happening anywhere.
Istilah Islamofobia pertama kali digunakan oleh Runnymede Trust, sebuah badan pemikir berhaluan kiri pada tahun 1997. Ia membawa erti perasaan takut, prasangka dan kebencian kuat terhadap Islam dan juga orang Muslim. Ini menimbulkan tanggapan bahawa Islam tidak sesuai dengan budaya lain dan lebih merupakan ideologi politik ganas. Tariq Sheikh berusia 29 tahun. Pemuda berketurunan Pakistan dan Irish ini mula mendekati kehidupan sebagai orang Islam sejak tahun 2008. Dan sejak itu, sikap masyarakat sekelilingnya mula berubah.
You know, to a lot of people, I'm a English-looking, British-looking white person, you know. So when they see me, especially if I'm with a bunch of, you know, Muslim-looking people, or when they see me with my beard and dressed a certain way, the reaction of a lot of people, and this happens when I'm walking down the street, a lot of my friends will say to them, wow, that person was really looking at you funny, they were not impressed with you. And this is sometimes like I don't know if it's a complex that certain people have, but there's a whole sense of, you know, you were one of us. Why did you leave us? Why have you gone to them? You know. So there's a sense of type of traitor mentality, you know, because you're white, you're one of us. You know, and obviously, you know, what's so good about these guys? Why have you left us?
Fias Mughal adalah antara yang lantang menyuarakan rasa kurang senang masyarakat Islam Britain. Beliau memimpin pertubuhan Faith Matters yang sering menganjurkan pertemuan dengan pemimpin bukan Islam untuk mengeratkan hubungan antara agama. Melalui satu kempen yang diberi nama Tell Mama, ia menjadi badan pengawas kejadian anti-Islam yang berlaku di Britain.
The fear of any community is not justified because it comes from ignorance. The incidences of people involved in terrorism compared to the Muslim population is minuscule. So, but the perception given by far right and other groups is that Muslims are all like this to suit political agendas. And that in itself is damaging, because those political agendas can create sections of intolerance and can create actual laws building on intolerance. And that's where the real problem then starts.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin.
Namun bagi Tariq, apa yang lebih membimbangkan ialah mereka yang mengenalinya juga turut berubah sikap apabila dia mengamalkan hidup sebagai seorang Muslim.
Shopping, and I saw one of these old ladies, and she came up to me, and she was always very sweet to me before, very, she showed a lot of love towards me. And on this occasion, she came up and she said, "Oh my God, Tariq, what happened? What's wrong? What happened?" I said, "I don't have a clue what she saw." I was like, "Nothing, I'm fine. How are you? Everything all right?" And she said, when did this come happen? And I explained, I said, Nini, I'm a Muslim now, I decided to grow the beard, it's part of my faith. And she was just, really almost disappointed, shocked that I had become a Muslim, that I was like this. And she said, "But you were so nice before." She adored me, but not knowing anything about me afterwards, apart from the fact that I had a beard, that was enough for her to cast her judgment that, whoa, you don't have to be like this.
The great scholar of Islam, Imam Al-Ghazali, said about this. He said, "An-nasu a'da'u ma jahilu," that people are enemies with regards to what they are ignorant of. So I think we can say safely, whether you're in the West or in the Muslim world, that this is a universal principle. This is a universal rule that we can think of. That if a community, a particular section of the country, if a group of people are ignorant about something, it tends to be natural, I think, or almost this is a universal rule, that people actually condemn the things they don't understand. So that's what happens. So when we have events like 9/11 or 7/7 in England, or this recent Woolwich event, people who do not know much about Islam would have heard about Islam simply because, there are these Muslims who murder people. So then they think that, Muslims are in the business, unfortunately, of killing people, and that's of course not true.
The Muslims suffered greatly in the aftermath of 7/7, more than 9/11.
Stesen kereta api Edgware ini menjadi salah satu sasaran pengeboman 7 Julai tahun 2005. Zahra Osman sudah lebih 20 tahun berhijrah dan menetap di London bersama keluarga. Beliau juga turut merasakan perubahan sikap masyarakat bukan Islam sejak peristiwa itu.
Apabila saya duduk dalam bas, dengan sebelah saya ada seorang bukan Melayu, bukan Islam. Dia pandang saya dengan muka yang sangat marah, terus bangun, tukar tempat. Tak pernah pula orang buat macam ni pada saya kan. Tapi mungkin kerana apa yang berlaku. Jadi kan bagi mereka, orang Islam tu semua sama. Islam equals to terrorism. Islam equals to violence. Ya?
Apakah punca sebenar perasaan marah dan benci warga Britain terhadap Islam? Kami berpeluang bertemu Josh Galloway, anggota Parlimen Pembangkang Britain yang dikenali dengan kelantangannya bersuara membela nasib rakyat Palestin dan orang Islam yang tertindas. Beliau berpendapat kejadian 7 Julai itu adalah satu masalah yang diundang.
The Muslims suffered greatly in the aftermath of 7/7, more than 9/11, because this was a very British thing. And I had been warning for years before that we were sowing this swamp of hatred.
Who are you on the other side to decide what the international community thinks should do? If you're unable to persuade
I had been a member of Parliament for many years before that, but this propelled me into a very prominent position as someone who was saying, number one, that millions of Muslims hate us because of what we're doing in Muslim countries. Number two, if we handle what's happened in New York and Washington in the wrong way, then we'll create tens of thousands of new bin Ladens, which is, of course, precisely what we did.
Sejak peristiwa 7 Julai tahun 2005, kehidupan masyarakat Islam Britain banyak berubah. Walaupun api kemarahan sudah reda, tetapi prasangka buruk dan diskriminasi tetap wujud.
The discrimination is not prevalent like mosquito bites, but it's there. To them, they don't understand. If somebody said bad thing about Prophet ﷺ, how can this Muslim rise up in tides and tides and tides? To us Muslim, there's a red line. If you go over that, we will not tolerate it. I mean, on my personal side, somebody starts saying anything about Prophet ﷺ, I'll smack him. Am I a terrorist? No.
Menurut Profesor Abdul Hakim Murad, tanggapan negatif terhadap Islam bukanlah sesuatu perkara yang baru. Ia wujud sejak Islam bertapak di Britain lebih 100 tahun lalu.
I think although we complain of Islamophobia today, things were much worse for the early Victorian converts. The first mosque in Liverpool was constantly confronting people throwing bricks through the windows, people rubbing broken glass into the carpets, people smearing horse dung on the faces of Muslim women who were wearing their hijab. Things were very difficult then. That was the age when the British thought that they were the climax of evolution, where Britannia ruled the waves, where Islam was seen as the religion of funny foreign people, and to go over to it was seen as a form of profound cultural treason. So although our situation today is uncomfortable, I don't think that it's as bad as it was 100 years ago, and even more recently.
Inilah perkuburan Brookwood, lebih 30 km dari pusat kota London. Di sini bersemadinya tokoh-tokoh Islam terawal di Britain. Islam mula bertapak di Britain pada abad ke-18. William Henry Quilliam, Baron Hedley dan Marmaduke Pickle adalah antara perintis yang menyebarkan syiar dan dakwah Islam di Britain. Masjid Shah Jahan di Woking Surrey ini didirikan pada tahun 1889. Ia asalnya dibina untuk digunakan sebagai pusat pengajian pelbagai agama. Tetapi hari ini, masjid bersejarah ini menjadi lambang penerimaan Britain terhadap Islam. Asad Jamil adalah setiausaha Masjid Shah Jahan Woking Surrey.
Being a Muslim in Britain is a very interesting time because our religion is constantly under scrutiny. We have to be constantly aware because we are advocates of our religion. People see us as first as a Muslim. So whatever you do, they won't see you as a human being making a mistake. They'll see you as a Muslim making a mistake.
They said that these imams were saying that it is haram to vote. And I was very outraged by this.
Inilah Peckham, sebuah bandar kecil sekitar 20 km dari pusat kota London. Sebahagian besar penduduk kulit hitam di sini beragama Islam.
And the Peckham Mosque, they were opening up a floor that they had just finished. And the council leader said about diversity, and he said, we are very, very proud in London and in England to have a diverse number of people from all over the world, but we also need diverse people of diverse faiths. When the mosque invited me to come to a Friday prayers, and they asked me to make a sermon inside the mosque before the prayers on the Friday, I said to the congregation that it wasn't diverse from the outside in the community, the diversity was also on the inside. You find Muslims from everywhere. So the people who are sitting within the mosque are as diverse, even more diverse than people on the outside.
Banci pada tahun 2011 menunjukkan hampir 15% atau 270,000 penduduk England dan Wales adalah orang Islam berkulit hitam. Terdapat kebimbangan, generasi muda kulit hitam yang memeluk Islam dikatakan lebih mudah terpengaruh dengan anasir keganasan dan ajaran golongan pelampau. Abdul Muhammad adalah orang kulit hitam beragama Islam yang pertama dilantik menjadi Datuk Bandar Southern. Beliau turut bimbang dengan sikap sebahagian masyarakat Islam kulit hitam yang berfikiran sempit dan memburukkan lagi keadaan.
I can tell you that there is quite a few problems in the Islamic community. The black vote is just absent from the democracy, which is not a desirable thing. So they said that these imams were saying that it is haram to vote. And I was very outraged by this. Me and many others were very outraged by this because we thought that the best way for you to take part in a community that you're living in is actually to take part in the democratic process.
It's the new generation, ironically, the people who've been subjected in quite a deep way to British culture, who are the ones who seem most vulnerable to processes of radicalisation. So the fact that their roots have to do with Pakistan, Bangladesh or wherever, I think is not relevant. Instead, we're talking about part of a globalised phenomenon.
Britain adalah antara negara barat yang membuka luas pintunya kepada penghijrahan orang Islam. Malah, jumlah warga British yang memeluk Islam juga meningkat. Sejak tahun 2001, lebih 5,000 warga British memeluk Islam setiap tahun. Hampir 5% atau 3 juta penduduk Britain beragama Islam. Ini menjadikan Islam sebagai agama kedua terbesar di Britain. Paris, Milan, Munich adalah pentas antarabangsanya. Pada usia 19 tahun, Deborah David adalah seorang pragawati jenama pakaian terkemuka di dunia. Kini, dia hanya mahu dikenali dengan nama Islamnya, Karimah Daud. Karimah adalah antara ramai warga British yang memeluk agama Islam sejak tahun 2001. Walaupun menetap di kota London, dia begitu selesa memakai hijab dan berpakaian menutup aurat.
A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Walaili idza yaghsha wan nahari idza tajalla.
So I had a really big jahiliyyah, really big. I went to Cannes Film Festival with Spike Lee. I've been out for dinner with the singer Prince. I've really been in jahiliyyah, like proper Hollywood, you know, top life. And I suppose I had really had it. Like if you have a meal and you have too much to eat, I really had got to that point in my life where I wanted something different and something that was more connected with God.
Sejak menjadi muslimah, Karimah berasa tenang walaupun sedar ramai yang kurang senang dengan perubahan mendadak yang berlaku pada dirinya. Dia merasakan orang Islam harus menunjukkan contoh yang baik jika mahu diterima masyarakat ramai.
You have Muslims who don't know how to behave properly. Some of them, they don't even want to be Muslims. They're only Muslims because they were born a Muslim, and in their culture they have to be Muslim, or they have to wear hijab, or have to dress a certain way, otherwise the rest of their community would shun them. And normally these are some of the people that cause problems, because when you actually look at those Muslims, they have a bad attitude. They don't say Salam Alaikum when they go into a building, and then they will say, oh, but they don't like us because we're black. No, it's not because you're black, it's because you don't have any manners.
We will not allow our democratic rights to be eroded because of Islamism. The more Islam, the less freedom. Islam rules by intimidation and violence. We are standing here today saying we have had enough of Islamism. We have had enough.
Perasaan anti-Islam Britain disemarakkan lagi oleh kumpulan pelampau yang menggelarkan diri mereka English Defence League atau EDL. EDL mendakwa Britain telah dilanda golongan Islam yang akan mengubah wajah negara tamadun Inggris ini. Mereka menghasut orang ramai supaya membenci dan memulaukan masyarakat Islam.
Over half of the 2.8 million Muslims are born in this country. They're not from other countries, they're born in this country. This issue of Islamicization is pure and simple, a story told to incite people to feel fear against Muslims. And, you know, let's look at the reality, 2.6 versus 60 million. There is no takeover of the United Kingdom. There never will be a takeover of the United Kingdom.
I think a lot of the right-wing racist talk about fear of an Islamic majority and the transformation of England into a Sharia-ruled country is preposterous nonsense. But no doubt, listen, never mind the general population, sometimes I take a look at the Muslims, not just here but around the world, and recoil. Islam is a wonderful thing. The Muslims are not quite so wonderful.
Mungkinkah salah satu punca berlakunya Islamophobia ialah kerana sikap masyarakat Islam itu sendiri? Contohnya, kumpulan yang menggelar diri mereka Muslim Patrol. Mereka cuba memaksa masyarakat yang berlainan agama menerima ajaran Islam.
The Muslim area, are you not wanted around here? You can't say, I respect your faith. Very rude.
You're in the wrong.
No, I didn't. You wanted to talk about Islam. I wanted to talk about your belief. I asked you a simple question.
Welcome to a democracy, mate. If you want
Very rude.
This is of value to you.
Inilah Hyde Park di hujung minggu. Tempat untuk meluahkan pandangan tentang apa saja. Tapi ramai yang berhujah di Speaker's Corner ini memilih untuk memperlekehkan agama Islam.
Evolution has no basis.
Disinilah Farouk McDermott menjalankan dakwahnya kepada mereka yang ingin tahu. Farouk sudah 9 tahun memeluk agama Islam dan sangat lantang berbahas dengan mereka yang cuba menduga diri.
So where did it all come from then?
Do you really want to know?
I'm asking you, simply.
Let's talk about evolution for a minute.
No, I'm not asking you that.
You're not? Why?
I asked you where it all came from.
Why? Will you not talk about your religion?
What's my religion?
Evolution.
No, I'm a Muslim.
Evolution?
I'm a Muslim. Cool question.
Islam.
No, I didn't. You wanted to talk about Islam. I wanted to talk about your belief. I asked you a simple question. This Bible, I've had it since I became Muslim. And I've made a lot of notes and I read it in order to know more about what my subject believes. And if I don't know the belief of the people, then how can I call them away from it? Jesus cannot tell a lie because he is a prophet of Allah. And I believe that to be a fact.
He's the Son of God, he's God in the flesh.
This, I'm talking from my belief, my understanding, yeah? But he didn't tell a lie in the red. That's what I believe, yeah? And you believe the same, right?
Yeah, in mine.
You know, one day, I will die. You will die. And we will both face Allah. And you think that you'll be on the side. We'll see on the Yom Al-Qiyamah, Allah Ta'ala, you are Shahid.
Jesus Christ, the Lord.
But from a non-Muslim aspect, when they see that I'm called a traitor, I say, a traitor to what? Huh? Tell me what I'm a traitor of. And they'll say, you're a traitor of Queen and country. And I'll say, and what country is that? Great Britain? You need to read the history of this country, my friend, to see if it's really great or not, yeah? Really, this is what I say to them. Because they see me as somebody who's gone on to the enemy side. The attitude of the non-Muslims has got more bitter. And the extreme side of that is starting to take shape in the form of some groups like EDL, and not just the EDL, but you've got the Scottish version of it, the Welsh version of it, and they're small extremist groups who want to see the end of Islam because, like you said, they see it as a threat to the British heritage.
Miriam Francois Serra dibesarkan dalam sebuah keluarga keturunan Prancis dan Irish yang beragama Kristian di Britain. Dia pernah menjadi seorang pelakon cilik dalam beberapa filem. Miriam memeluk agama Islam pada tahun 2003 sewaktu dia membuat kajian tentang Islam di University Cambridge. Waktu itu, dia baru berusia 21 tahun. Kini, Miriam adalah antara aktivis dan ahli akademik yang gigih berusaha mengubah tanggapan dan imej buruk Islam kepada dunia barat.
The fear, I suppose, from my perspective, is that if you get outsiders coming in and saying, this is how you should run things, you get an automatic reaction of repulsion from the Muslim community, which is, don't tell us how to run our things.
Apa yang dilakukan oleh Tariq dan Farouk bukan sekadar menarik orang memeluk agama Islam. Ia adalah usaha untuk memulihkan imej Islam yang tercemar. Malah terdapat sekumpulan orang bukan Islam di Britain yang juga sedar pentingnya usaha menjernihkan tanggapan negatif itu. Michael Clare adalah pengurus projek perpaduan masyarakat di Southwark Council. Usahanya untuk meningkatkan hubungan antar masyarakat jelas dilihat dalam projek yang digelar Piece by Piece.
In essence, what this project was about was profiling 15 Muslims living in Southwark from very different backgrounds, and it was about giving them a platform to speak for themselves, to try and counteract some of the misunderstandings that still hold over to this day. So this, to me, was a demonstration of the impact in at least the life of this one person. You hope that it's replicated many times, that many people come who don't have this broad understanding of what it means to be Muslim and come away thinking, you know what, we're actually all the same.
Tapi usaha golongan bukan Islam seperti Michael untuk membantu pemahaman tentang Islam kepada masyarakat umum dicurigai oleh setengah masyarakat Islam sendiri.
Mosques were a little suspicious, I think, of what this was all about, where we were coming from, what were we trying to achieve, were we in some way trying to socially engineer that we are forcing people to like each other, that you're bringing them together and saying like each other. Now, of course, that has to be counterproductive. It has to happen in its own way, in its own time, as a natural thing. But I would say to Muslim communities, as I would say to any section of the population, we have nothing to fear from each other.
It's very funny, I have to think who is Muslim, who is not Muslim. West Indians are all intermarried now. I'm sorry, I'm just being interviewed, but I will hold it for you. Okay. This is our community. Never mind filming. Community comes.
Portobello di daerah Notting Hill yang terkenal dengan masyarakat berbilang kaum.
It's very funny, I have to think who is Muslim, who is not Muslim. And when I was a child, my mother was a teacher. And it was then just black children in the class. And she said, if somebody asked her that question, she would have to think. It's when you reach a point where people live together and just become familiar with each other, and you're at school with each other, and you fall in love with each other, you know.
Di sinilah Robina Rose banyak menghargai kelainan setiap bangsa, agama dan budaya. Sahabat karibnya adalah seorang wanita Islam dari Malaysia yang memiliki restoran makanan Melayu di sini.
My mother died, I used to cook for my mother, and I found Hirani's place, and then why should I cook for just me? I started coming here, and then I just got to know Hirani, and I deeply respect her, and we're sort of friends, we're really friends, you know.
Kak ni masih ingat satu hari, customer Kak ni bercerita pasal keburukan orang Islam begitu begini. Kemungkinan ada orang tak tahu Kak ni Islam kerana Kak ni tak pakai tudung. Kak ni besoknya Kak ni datang, Kak ni pakai tudung, Kak ni dia orang terperanjat. Orang agama kita yang mengaku agama kita yang buat benda-benda yang tak baik ni, kita semua terlibat. Jadi bagi saya nak tunjuk bukan.
Well, I can see in Hirani, you know, that she's very honest. She has complete integrity. You can see it is. You can just... I can't say why I think there's a Muslim things, but I can see that they go along with being a proper person.
Pemahaman Robina tentang orang Islam nampaknya masih tidak dikongsi sama oleh setengah pihak. Dalam satu kajian pada tahun 2010, 63% masyarakat Britain tidak membantah dengan kenyataan bahawa orang Islam adalah pengganas. 75% menganggap Islam mempunyai kesan negatif pada negara. Adakah ini satu petanda masa depan orang Islam di Britain semakin kelam?
Islam is in the grip of a set of public relations problems, as I've conceded, and no doubt since 9/11, since 7/7, since Woolwich, there has been a rise in Islamophobic feeling, but it still doesn't affect or motivate the vast majority of people in Britain. This is a pretty decent and tolerant country on the whole, at least by comparison with others. As people always say, if you think England's racist, you've never been to France.
It's a harder job for the mass media in modern Britain because they don't know who to go to. who is the Muslim equivalent of a bishop, for instance, or the local clergyman. They simply don't know. And even in cases where there are community leaders, often their command of English is not sufficiently good to enable them to explain what the majority of Muslims think, which is that these phenomena have nothing to do with Islamic orthodoxy but come only from the fringes. What we have here in the Cambridge Muslim College is one of the few attempts to upgrade the skill set of young British Muslim imams and also female scholars to help them to come out of the madrasa environment and to understand in a fuller and more adequate and relevant way the reality of the society in which they live.
Masjid-masjid di Britain sering menjadi sasaran dan didakwa sebagai tempat menyebarkan fahaman keganasan dalam Islam. Masjid Finsbury ini umpamanya menghadapi krisis pada lewat tahun 90-an apabila didapati imamnya mempunyai pandangan ekstrim. Asad Jamil adalah antara pemimpin muda yang sering beramah mesra dengan masyarakat Kristian untuk mengeratkan hubungan kaum.
It's a need for us as Muslims to go back to basics. Just look at the character of our Prophet, peace be upon him. Just to look at how he dealt with people, how he was with people. I really don't think there's a rocket science answer to this. I think that we really just need to go back to basics, be ourselves, and if we think that every time we're out on the street we are exemplary, we are ambassadors of our religion.
We shouldn't compromise. Like, I mean, integration doesn't mean, okay, you know, stop praying 5 times a day. It doesn't mean stop fasting. Do all of these things. This is your religion, and the country doesn't stop you from doing these things.
The greatest thing we have to fear is fear itself. We aren't all that different, you know. When we begin to open up to each other and listen to each other's stories, life experiences, then we find that common ground.
I hope to see a move away from Islam as an identity, as a rejectionist identity, and a move towards a perception of faith as a strict moral code.
To give a better perception of Islam and the Muslims by looking at our history, by reminding the communities here that when Europe was in its dark ages, Islam and the Muslims had gone through its period of enlightenment, that they were the repository of knowledge when Europe didn't have street lights. So Muslims had done a lot to world civilization.
And I think that what we come down to is that Muslims need to be more socially active and actually less about let's go to work and go home and pray, and more about let's go to work, let's pray, but let's do something good to show others what we're about is the better way.
The main problem in Britain is godlessness. The main problem in Britain is the death of religion. The Muslims must be defended insofar as they try to do that, and the Muslims should not hide themselves away. On the contrary, they should be openly proselytizing for the deen, but in an attractive way.
Masyarakat dunia barat seperti di Britain sering berasa tergugat dengan perkembangan pesat agama Islam. Apatah lagi apabila semakin ramai warganya sendiri menjadi orang Muslim. Namun prasangka dan tanggapan buruk terhadap Islam mungkin sukar dikikis selagi pergolakan dunia Islam itu sendiri masih dalam keadaan huru-hara. Bagi Farouk, Karimah dan Tarik, perjuangan mereka yang utama ialah menjernihkan imej agama yang tercemar dan menyampaikan keindahan Islam kepada mereka yang masih terpengaruh dengan perasaan Islamophobia.
when you see on the media and the TV that Muslims are portrayed the complete opposite to fitrah, yeah, you think these people are crazy, evil individuals. Regardless of what the Muslims are doing, the source of Islam is the truth, yeah? I may be a Muslim and I might make mistakes, and I might say the wrong thing, but the book of Allah, it cannot be wrong.
More born Muslims, they should see this. Being a Muslim is an advantage, not just because Islam is growing, but because of all the tools that Allah has given us in the Quran to live our life.
I just said this because, you know, I guess I want to be recognized as a Muslim. You know, when I do something good, then I want people to know that it's Islam that motivates me to do that. You know, so I mean, I think people need to just, you know, you can be a Muslim, you can be British.